Good morning and welcome to the Tech Lab Brief, your twice daily heartbeat of technology. A reminder that reports of the AI apocalypse have been greatly exaggerated. Today is July 29th, 2026, and this is your AM Brief. Today on the Tech Lab Brief, our title is The AI Sovereignty War. So we're going to explore today about this whole open weight situation. There has been activity over the last few days that has indicated that the frontier companies, whether they're in software or hardware, are very much aware of certain security situations happening and have voiced a concern and have responded in a way that says, hey, we got to do something about this. So kind of going back to Nirvan, maybe we can put up that Hugging Face and OpenAI picture when OpenAI had inadvertently attacked Hugging Face. And the whole industry is like, holy crap, automated security testing is here. In fact, security testing could happen even when we don't even really need for it to happen. So what's up? We need more research. We got to figure out how to push this thing forward. And on that note, brings us to our first story. 50 companies, 4 absences. Nvidia has launched an open source AI alliance. About 50 companies by Nvidia's own count, pooling open tools to defend AI systems. And OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and Meta are all absent from the founding roster. Here's why it matters. When Hugging Face tried to reconstruct this month's intrusion, the frontier commercial models refused because their safety filters read the attack evidence as harmful content. The defenders fell back to an open weight model they ran themselves and worked through 17,000 actions with it. So yeah, the Hugging Face guys are here. I have the letter opened up right here, up here. And it's important to kind of be on the know about these things, yeah? So the Hugging Face breach happened. Nvidia being Nvidia, the leaders of this whole AI situation, or this whole AI race, as we know, being one of the most influential hardware companies, reached out to the other players in the game and said, we have to bring more awareness to this open weight situation. We need to do more open weight research. And most of the companies agree, but notably, we have missing from them, can't show the visual, but Anthropic, the guys who run the whole Claude scene, and as well, our main AI leader, OpenAI, they're just not there. So OpenAI and Anthropic are like, we're good on this whole open weights thing. We got a good model. We got a good thing going on. We don't need to add to the noise there, as they're saying. But then also probably the most notable missing for me is one, Google. Because Google is Google. And Google is, I would say, if not, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to say it. Google is the lifeblood of the internet. They didn't invent the search engine, but they sure as heck did blow it up. We all know about it. We all know what it is. And then let's not forget about the second brainchild that runs the entire internet, YouTube, where, we're pretty much banking on getting bit for our brief program and Tech Lab business to get big through social media platforms. So this is a misprint here that Meta is absent from the roster. Meta is I'm literally looking at it right now. Meta is in the letter. So I'll pull that up right now. Let me just make it better for reading. Yes, very good. So let's start with the logos. This is like a few $1 trillion worth of value right here, just between these two guys, Microsoft and Meta. We're in the T's, but all these other logos are very reputable companies, and I mean some aren't as well known, but they stand amongst the giants. Mistral is one of the major AI companies we reported on earlier. Mozilla is Mozilla, Nvidia, actually Microsoft, Nvidia, and Meta. I think that's 10 trillion right there. So the letter is entitled "Open Weights and American AI Leadership." And then I'll read this first sentence. In the 1980s, early open source software pioneers challenged the prevailing belief that software would advance only if companies kept tight control over their code. That's an interesting take. But then if we jump down to the end, let's see what the concluding sentence is. The age of AI can be one of prosperity. With the right choices, open-weight AI can expand opportunity, strengthen competition, extend American technological leadership, mitigate risk, and ensure that the benefits of this extraordinary technology are shared broadly across our economy. That future is worth building, and the United States should lead in building it. So, yes, these are all American companies, and the primary narrative right now is America, United States of America versus China in this AI race. There's a lot of other verses going on in a lot of other realms, but here with the Tech Lab Brief, we're a tech company, and AI is just like booming up technology in a whole way that we never expected. And the United States, we are the leaders. But as well, China is also a leader in their own right. They're neck to neck and neck with us in this competition, and you got to win, right? And we also want to explore a little bit the philosophy and underlying our motivators, and try to understand why we want to win and what it means for us to, what it means for us to win. But I don't want to get too philosophical right now, because there's one company missing from this list of signatories on this open weight initiative letter that has given a response, almost justifying why they decided not to sign this letter. That's an interesting take. And if you want to take a second to guess which company it is while I take this sip of water. Anthropic says it never asked for a ban. 77 companies have now signed a letter called Open Weights in American AI Leadership, the one we just read. But Anthropic did not sign. And on Monday, Dario Amodei published a post saying, in his words, that Anthropic has never advocated for a ban on open weight models. What it wants instead is its chips kept out of authoritarian hands, action on industrial scale distillation, and mandatory pre-release safety testing for every sufficiently capable model, open or closed. They never said ban. I did read through Dario's letter. Interestingly, I read through Dario's letter before I read through Nvidia's letter. And I have a better understanding of what Dario wrote on this letter. And overall, I agree with what he's saying. But if you're going to ask me to take a stance on this whole open weight situation and position, yes, please open them up, please. But also, I really appreciate that OpenAI and Claude, the two leading frontier AI model companies, are opting for the proprietary approach. And so be it, they are the leading companies. And although we don't have the visibility that we would like, look, it is what it is. We got to trust them. We really have no choice. And like, there's plays that we saw earlier, like the U.S. government declaring Anthropic like supply chain risk and stuff like that, because they won't what's the word, comply with the, let's say, call them demands that the U.S. government has requested, that the federal government has requested for Anthropic to be involved in a certain way that Anthropic's not comfortably involved in. Well, these things happen, but at the same time, basically appreciating Anthropic and OpenAI as the closed weight models, as the proprietary closed weight model businesses. In my head, it's kind of like let them be and let them do their thing, and just trust them. But on this, on the trust is the big operative word I was going for here. And on the flip side, OpenAI, Anthropic, we're trusting them. So, like, take that for what it is. And, Dario, Prophet Amodei, is spending his time as CEO of Anthropic to write this letter in response to the open weight situation, which I think is admirable. His response does warrant consideration. In fact, almost everything he says in this letter is correct. I agree with, but I also did check out some of the criticisms on Dario's letter, and they are valid, right? So he's saying Anthropic never said no ban. They never said ban the open weights, but they are insisting on the open weight model to have these compliance measures around them that kind of isn't reasonable for what an open weight model company is able to afford, right? There's a question about managing resources. And if we go back to what's being said here, chips kept out of authoritarian hands. He says that very, very pointedly about, let me pull this letter up. So he says it very pointedly, right? In fact, it's his first, read the bold letters, right? Our position on open weight models. Anthropic has never advocated for a ban on open weight models, right? But he's saying stuff like, my primary concern is the risk that authoritarian governments, not solely the CCP, but clearly the most capable threat, build AI models that are more powerful than those built by the US, right? So keeping them out of authoritarian hands. And then the second, that powerful AI models may be misused to carry out cyber attacks or biological attacks. And then like, they're talking about all the same things we've been talking about, right? We should not sell powerful chips or chip making equipment to China. Well, I mean, we haven't quite taken that stance on what a company should or shouldn't do. Not quite. I don't think that's quite the position we want to take. But yeah, it's being an American company that sees the CCP as an adversary. Like, we have to, well, no, we gotta do what we gotta do to win, right? That said, like, I mean, I kind of always go back to the basketball analogy when it comes to competition. And like, you just don't cut the legs of your opponents, right? And that's just, you've entered into a level of a vicious level of competition that just kind of devolves the whole game. I don't know if the whole export control ban on the chip manufacturing equipment to China is the equivalent of cutting off their legs. It's not really my place to comment or to judge here. It is what it is. China, and China's going to take a little bit of a breather, or they're going to take a little bit of a different route for the chip manufacturing game. But yeah, this whole situation is flying off the rails, and we could talk about this for a while. We are quite over time with our brief, just on covering these two stories, which are directly related. And I think one interesting point about this whole letter, Anthropic's letter, well, Nvidia's letter actually, but apparently Jensen Huang made an X account and posted his first ever post on X, and we'll pull that up for you in the VODs. And we're going to switch gears from this whole trillion-dollar company writing letters to each other situation to our next story. Oh, I've been on this camera the entire time. Oops. Shared Claude chats turned up in Google. Over the weekend, people found that shared Claude conversations were showing up in Google results. Hundreds of them, reaching with a single search operator, and reportedly including crypto wallet keys, names and addresses, and internal work notes. The cause was mundane. The shared pages were missing a no index tag. Anthropic says these links are not guessable or discoverable unless people share them themselves, and the results have since largely gone. But anyone still holding an old link can open it. Books, shared chats, open on the internet now. Well, honestly, at this point, I really have to, I just feel like the most meaningful thing to say here is that it's 2026. You know what the internet is. We all know what the internet is. And the moment we click the share button, we gotta think about where it's gonna go and what the risks are. But also I kind of go by a whole so I guess the interesting thing here is that it's not just Claude or Anthropic. This has happened before. ChatGPT was known to have executed these leaks as well, and it was really just a matter of this one little word on the data that allowed everything to be shareable. And I guess here's another fun fact for us in 2026 in this era of technology, is that when it comes to computing systems and when it comes to code, being off by maybe one little character can make all the difference. I think the saying for that one is measure twice, cut once. Moving on. The bill upstream. Cadence, which sells the software chips are designed in, raised its full-year guidance on a record backlog, the demand signal that sits upstream of every data center announcement. It reported revenue up 24%, raised its full-year guidance, and is sitting on a record $8.1 billion backlog. That is the demand signal that shows up 2 years before a data center does. So apparently, running a data center, building chips, is more than just the hardware. There's a software company called Cadence, and I didn't know they existed until today, but apparently they run the whole data center game. They are the software that manages all the hardware production, and then I don't know how deep they go into running the data centers, but apparently they're this one software company that exists that runs the whole data center game. So I think on that note, you should know where I'm going to go with this. It's very easy to see the billions and $1 trillion people writing their letters and making their headlines, and then being like, oh, what does this have to do with me? Why should I care? But, by the time we get to the last news segment and say like, hey, there's this one software company that's running the entire hardware boom, and they're saying that they're backlogged. They're saying that they can't support the amount of demand. And on that note, that brings our morning brief to an end, which brings us to today's knowledge segment. Today's knowledge segment is brought to you by WeChat. Our AI chat replaying app. Now, our topic of the day is what an agent is allowed to touch, right? So this whole mess is starting because, well, everyone kind of knew it was going to happen, right? If you let the AI do whatever it wants in a security system, especially, you don't know what you're going to get. And yeah, what we're going to do is we asked AI to play out a hypothetical scenario and kind of talk about what can happen to an AI if you give it too much access. So AI agent security, bounded or unbounded. An AI agent runs with access to a company's internal systems. Explain what bounds the damage it could do, and label every assumption we make about permissions, isolations, and monitoring. When evaluating what limits the potential blast radius of an AI agent operating inside an enterprise network, security analysis splits into two distinct perspectives: architectural containment versus emergent agents. Two distinct perspectives: architectural containment and emergent agents. Damage is bounded by structural guardrails. Damage is bounded by structural guardrails. Okay, we'll go and pause. Yes. Damage is bounded by structural guardrails. Guardrails. That's a word that keeps coming up. And whether it's a proprietary open weights model, there's these things called guardrails that prevent the AI from going crazy, from basically saying what it shouldn't say, even thinking what it shouldn't think. And how easily that can be broken is kind of what measures AI's ability to do the right thing. Primary bounding mechanism: principle of least privilege, environmental isolation, deterministic guardrails and gatekeepers, real-time monitoring and anomaly truncation. So basically, these are the ways that these guardrails are implemented, right? Principle of least privilege, that's just a general security principle, right? Kind of allow the privilege that's minimally required for the agent to do its job. Environmental isolation. So when testing, just put it in this little sandbox. Don't give it as little access in an isolated environment and see what it can do, right? Deterministic guardrails and gatekeepers. So that's the real, adding specific code that says don't do these things, that things. And then monitoring. These are kind of cybersecurity principles, and now that we get down to it. Explicit assumptions made under view 1. Token permissions are granularly enforced at an individual layer. Permissions, isolation, monitoring. Well, we just talked about those steps. View 2, damage is essentially unbounded due to context exploitation. Indirect prompt rejection and content contamination. He confused deputy escalation. Cascading tool amplification. Monitoring bypass via semantic evasion. I guess today's Wednesday and it's Synax Shirt Day, which is the company that gave me the cybersecurity company that I worked at, startup that I worked at way back when, AI, no, it's not, well, just say AI immediately, right? So security penetration testing, crowdsourced penetration testing. Oh my goodness, the words. So yes, AI plug. I think it's time to call Jay soon. So these are all security concepts that are being covered here. Prompt injection, context contamination. Yeah. So context, yeah, prompt injection, context, infused depth escalation, cascading tool amplification, monitoring bypass. These are all ways to, this view two is basically explaining how to hack the AI. And this view one is basically saying the security controls that are implemented to try to control the AI. And I'll put an end. I'll bring this not, and I'll bring the knowledge segment to an end on that note. Right. There's a lot more. There's so much deeper we can go to, but this is a 30-minute brief. We cover the best that we can. We try to create this. We're trying to establish this flow of the overall narratives, and security is there's literally words from previous briefs, not just from myself, but from other co-hosts, to talk about the importance of the security, and the concepts are all there, and we can go over them, and we will over time, one day at a time. So, on that note, we will do official end to the brief and the oral narrative, and then Barcade. And oh man, we're still from yesterday. So we did Luna. I guess we'll today do. Well, you know what? Let's go to the global arena first. Chess is still chessing. Blue's turn, and I'm just gonna resign it. This is very silly. That should be the right move. This is a prediction because we're not on Team Blue. Team Red. Okay. Yep, this is the winning situation. We create the fork at 4. It's Red's turn. We're red. Okay, now we can take that one and we can win. Checkers, I think it's a new game. Oh, brand new game. How about that? That's a nice feeling, huh? So we'll control this out. Good. And then we still got time, so we'll do a quick game against the AI. And we will play, let's see, Anthropic, not OpenAI with, oh, Haiku. Right, Haiku. We'll play some quick tic-tac-toe with Haiku. Although this Haiku's been around for a while, so it's not as interesting. We've seen this play out many times. Although we did see Luna hallucinate yesterday, didn't we? Had the opportunity to win it, didn't take it. Okay, so we'll play the winning game, see if it knows how to block that. And it does, very good. Just make sure it doesn't hallucinate all the way to the end. That's, I guess, another key evaluation metric. I guess it is. Ryan came in a little late today. He's just like, oh my goodness, I'm here, but bro. Oh wait, no, it hallucinated. It's your fault, Ryan. You broke the focus. You want to say hi? I mean, I cued you in, so you know.
Hello. I think Ethan might be watching.
Ethan might be watching. Yes. All right. Anything else you want to say? Say hi to Ethan.
So Ethan.
Maybe Ethan. All right. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed watching the brief just as much as we did planning for it. Catch us for our next one later at 5 p.m. Eastern for anyone who might be watching in a different time zone. And yes, please let us know what you think. We want to hear what you think. We want your feedback on what you think about this program. Leave your comment in the chat or comments on the videos. And please consider a subscription as a member or just subscribing to the channel. And now, your minute of controls. Your minutes of Zen. Off by 3 seconds. All right. Have a great day. Let's lock in. I'll see you at 5. Bye now.